Hey everybody. Today was exhausting. Very exhausting. We had regular group from 9 to 9:50. It got started a little late though. And then at 10 we were able to bring family members to group. So naturally I brought Melissa. And I know she was nervous. I know she was very nervous. Because when she's incredibly nervous, she uses humor. And although it helps ease the tension of everybody, no, it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing. I was trying to think if it was a bad thing, and it's not. It put everybody at ease, and people were able to talk a little more. I had this really weird thought. I had this very weird thought on my way there today. You know when you're driving down the highway and you take an exit, and it usually has an embankment right there as that separates the off ramp and the rest of the freeway. Well, I was taking my exit and I was driving towards that, and I had this sudden memory of when my dad, it was shortly after my mom left us, and I had this memory for 2 years. He talked about how he wished that he could just drive into one of those embankments and then me and my little sister would get the insurance money. And it was the weirdest memory, because I hadn't even been thinking about him. I hadn't been thinking about him at all that day. It was mostly about my mom. And I don't know where it came from. So a lot of interesting things are starting to come about from all of the group therapy that I'm in, and people sharing their stories. And one of the things that started causing me to have a panic attack today was feeling like I'm no longer pulling my weight here at the house. I just feel exhausted all the time, and like I can't hold a thought. But there are things that I want to do, but things that I'm not physically able to do right now. And it frustrates me to no end, and I feel like I'm letting Melissa down. And I feel like I'm just letting us down, and I'm freaking out about work and not being able to work right now and not being able to pay the bills. And I literally had forgotten. I literally completely forgot that Melissa gets a paycheck every week. I forgot about that. And when she told me last night, because I was like, where are we going to get money? I'm not even working right now. I don't know if I'm getting my short-term disability. Where are we going to get money? And she was like, well, I just got paid, so we have money in the bank. And I nearly broke down and started crying, because I literally forgot that she was getting a paycheck. How bizarre is that? That's just incredibly bizarre. It's just incredibly bizarre. And I almost started crying because it was so relieving. There was so much relief in just that little statement, and that realization that she was getting paid. And I'm finding it difficult to hand over things that I normally do, and I'm finding it difficult to just let go. I'm a very independent person. I'm very independent. I have been since I was 15. And I started working for this guy at the Elks Lounge where I grew up, and I started getting paid under the table, and I worked for him for a little bit, and then I got a real job when I turned 16, and I could get legally paid. And since then, since I was 15 years old, until I went on disability when I was like 20, 21, I always had a job or two jobs. And even when I went on disability, I was still very independent. I still wanted to pay the bills myself. I still wanted to take care of things myself. And because my family had pushed me to that. They had pushed me to not rely on them at all. So when I got into the habit of not relying on them, I got into the habit of not relying on anybody. So I never have. But now all of a sudden I'm in a position where I have to fully rely on Melissa. And she's told me over and over again that it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal to me. Because I do feel weak. I don't feel very strong anymore. So part of my treatment is a trauma group, and I've been going since yesterday. This Friday, today's Saturday, and I have another class tomorrow. And I saw the most amazing thing, one of the most amazing things I had ever seen in my life today. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences. We did EMDR today, like full-on EMDR, not just an explanation, not just the idea or the concept of it, but the actual process. And I wasn't the one doing it, I was the tapper. But I watched this girl. Now, in the process, 10 is the absolute worst you could possibly be, and 0 is neutral, and that's kind of where you want to be when you're feeling this emotion. And I watched her go from a 10 to a 0 in a span of, I watched her go from a 10 to a 2 within a span of 20 minutes. And then in another 20 minutes, I watched her go from a 2 to a 0. I watched this. I watched this girl let go of her anger and live free from that pain. I watched her cry. I watched her let go. I watched her feel free and watch this burden come off of her body. It was one of the most amazing things to watch somebody come out of pain. To just come out of it. Man. I'm looking forward to my turn tomorrow. I have to say, I'm eager for it to happen. Now, I've heard that EMDR doesn't work incredibly well with DID. It has worked for some, and it hasn't worked for some. But I hope I'm in the group that it will work. all I can do is try. But I wanted to let you guys know today was huge Revelation Day, and I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys. And I cannot begin to tell you how much I appreciate all of the warm thoughts and encouragements and the feedback that you guys have been giving me. It is so touching, and I'm glad that I'm doing these videos and that I have reached so many people, and you guys have given me so much strength, and I do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good night.